Jeremy, I forgot to ask you, what about harvesting the fish? What does that take?
Well, it actually kind of takes jumping in there to get them. The water's really dark, and
Yeah.
Nile tilapia are really dark colored. They're really hard to see. So we have to check their weight and monitor their health. So the only way to check that out is to actually jump in there and get them. Should I go get some?
Sure.
Should we take a look?
Sure.
All right. There we go. Oh, that's nice.
That does feel nice.
The air temperature in here is about 95 degrees, and the water temperature is about 84, so it feels actually very refreshing. They like to hide back here in the corner. Remember, there's 500 tilapia in here. They are really fast fish.
Somebody has to be around somewhere.
So
There's
here's what I
yeah.
got. You know what these are? These are actually goldfish.
Uh-huh.
These are young carp that just kind of actually showed up in the system when we brought in some pond plants.
Wow.
Their eggs were living on the pond plants.
Wow.
So they're really easy to catch. It's the tilapia that are hard. All right, come on, you guys. I know you're back there. Yeah, there we go. So let me see here. Got one for you. Here, buddy. There you have a Nile tilapia. That's probably about a quarter of a pound right now. Here, buddy.
How big will they get?
They'll get to be about 1.5 pounds.
Okay.
This is Peak Moment. We are living at a peak of human innovation, information, wealth, and health. But we're also at a peak of population and consumption, with rising temperatures and declining resources fueled by cheap oil and gas. Peak Moment Television, bringing you examples of positive responses to energy decline and climate change through local community action.
I'm in this steamy, hot, greenhouse-like building with Jeremy Roth, who is the coordinator of the aquaculture project at Aprovecho. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
What is the project?
Well, the aquaculture project essentially is a recirculating system that uses the same water to raise fish, vegetables, and pond plants. Now, basically, it's very simple that the fish live in these tanks down here. There's two 610-gallon tanks, and the water is pumped from the tanks, and it's full of rich nutrients from the fish waste.
Okay.
And it's pumped up into a barrel over there where the solids can settle out. Then it flows into this trough system, which we have fully stocked with pond plants, all sorts of native and invasive species of pond plants, which are basically taking the nutrients out of the water. They're taking all that fish waste, the nitrates, the ammonia, the nitrites, and they're converting it into green growth.
For themselves?
For the plant growth, yeah. The
Okay.
plants are converting it and using it themselves.
All right.
And then the water has to travel all the way around through this trough system.
Peripheral.
Yeah, it's about 200 linear feet of trough
Wow.
before it gets back here and drops down through gravity into the tanks.
How does it drop down?
There's some returns right there. You can see that the water just drops down through return pipes into the tanks. And so by the time the waters come all the way back through this system, all of those nitrites, nitrates, and ammonia have been removed from the water and returned to the tanks clean for the fish.
So you have an entirely closed system.
It's an entirely closed loop. It pumps the entire waters exchange from the tanks to the tables about once an hour.
Wow. So how do you keep all of that in balance? I mean, the right number of fish to the right amount of plant life, all that.
It's all a big experiment, actually.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
And there's some sort of rules of thumb. 1 fish per gallon is kind of the maximum density.
Okay.
So 610 gallons per tank, that's about 1,200 gallons. So we could, at maximum density, have about 1,200 fish growing in this system, which would mean every single square inch of water in the tables would be stocked with plants to handle that load of nutrients.
Which you're not pushing at this point. You're just still trying to see.
This is our first year running this system,
really?
so it's sort of an experimental year. I've got this tank stocked with 500 Nile tilapia, and this other tank here just has some goldfish in it.
Okay.
And so we're sort of running the system at half capacity this first year just to see how it works and learn from it.
this is a dumb question, but I see the water coming out on the top trough, and that's where we see all the green algae and...
Yeah, this is duckweed, and then this is a plant called frogbit. They're all like in a native pond. They'd be very invasive. They would quickly spread and take over the entire pond. But in this system, invasive species are actually good because you want it to grow really fast. Because the thing about all this plant material here, all this plant material is food for the fish. Tilapia can take a mostly vegetarian diet, so all of the food that's growing in the system can be fed back to the fish.
And so how do you get it back to them,
just
actually?
like this.
Okay.
There
All
we go.
right. And there they are. I see the water roiling. They aren't waiting any time to...
No, yeah, throw some in there.
To go for it. Yeah. So part of that task then is I see this green on the top. Down below, you've got down here what? Much cleaner water.
Yeah, well,
what's this for?
All of the plants are stopped with a dam over there because I don't want any plant matter in this return area because I don't want to clog the return pipes. Because if we were to clog the return pipes, then we could have a serious problem on our hands, and all the water could be pumped out of the tanks and overflow here.
And we'd have unhappy fish and everybody else.
We
too.
would. I put in a safety sort of consideration in that the inlets for the in the tanks are only about halfway down. So if that were to happen, you could only pump about half of the water out of the tank, so you wouldn't kill all the fish.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. That's assuring.
In designing a system like this, I spent a lot of time researching other systems, and what I got from most of what other people were doing is keep it really simple. Fewer moving parts, the better, and make sure that if it breaks, then there's some sort of fail-safe because inevitably it will break.
Don't you wish that we had that kind of design in the rest of industrial civilization?
Absolutely.
But that's another topic. That's another show. So this water is coming back into the tanks for the fish.
Yep. And another part of having the water in these troughs, they're about that deep, so about 6 inches deep, is that we need to get as much surface area exposed to sunlight as possible because we want the water to be about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. If you feel the water, you actually see right here that right in the tank, it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
Yeah, it's a nice temperature.
Tilapia are they're a tropical cichlid, so 82 is pretty much where they like it. They'll actually die below 55 degrees. So here in the temperate Northwest, this type of project is can only operate during the spring, summer, and fall, unless you're artificially heating the water.
And so that means then, you'll do your tilapia harvest fall?
We'll harvest the tilapia probably in October. It's going to be weather dependent, sort of. As soon as it starts to seem like it's going to get cold and the water's going to slope down below their tolerance, then we'll harvest them.
Okay. What are all the, I mean, it looks like a little greenhouse over here.
Yep.
What's this?
So the thing about a recirculating system is it can be designed in a number of different ways. And for our system, we were mostly interested in having fish. As much fish as possible because, you know, we've got this beautiful acre organic vegetable garden here at Aprovecho. We got plenty of room to grow vegetables, but we don't have a lot of place to grow fish. So our system is designed mostly favoring fish and food for the fish. But what we did set up here in the center is a hydroponic vegetable growing bed. And hydroponics is simply just growing vegetables in a soilless medium.
Oh, I see. You've got some gravel.
It's just pea gravel.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff
but
that
a
we're
lot of
standing
water.
on. And what happens is part of the water from the fish tanks is diverted into this gravel bed. We wanted to include a vegetable component to the whole system because we wanted to sort of see what can be done with hydroponics. And hydroponics is simply just growing plants in a soilless medium. Like right here, this is just pea gravel.
Okay.
That's the same stuff on the ground here in the greenhouse. And the water is diverted, part of the water is diverted from the fish tanks into this gravel bar. And the water just flows from one end to the other. And the water, once again, is rich with all those fish nutrients. And the plants just root into the gravel and take up all their nutrients from the liquid.
So do you, I mean, like this tomato plant, you dig down some to get it sort of started?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
you can feel the bottom is just right here.
I mean, that's shallow. That's
yeah,
only...
There's only about 2 or 3 inches of gravel in here. And you can see that there's just a
You got
whole...
what, some chard and
Yep.
okay.
We got chard and tomatoes. There's some cucumbers and broccoli and tomatillos.
So things that are there certain plants that do better with sort of shallow roots like this? Or
There are, and we're once again it's a big experiment. Some plants are showing that they can't really grow to maturity in shallow-rooted, wet water. Some plants like tomatoes seem to be doing fine no matter what. The cucumbers are doing really great in here. Yep.
Well, it'll be real interesting to come back in about 5 years and see where this has evolved. What on the other side, I noticed that from the far side of your, through the pond scum, on the far side of that river, there's some other wilder-looking plants. What's over there?
Yeah, let's go over there and take a look. In order to grow plants, they need some sort of medium to be in. And some plants are perfectly fine growing in gravel, like these terrestrial vegetables. And then, in the troughs, it's just a flooded sort of pond-like environment. So we had to go with plants that are used to being in a submersed, flooded environment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what we're doing is we're experimenting with different crops to see what does well in this greenhouse, in this really nutrient-dense water. One crop that we're seeing great promise is watercress.
I was going to say, this looked like watercress.
Yeah, here, try it.
Yeah. Yep. Nice. Yeah.
So,
That's great.
it's great because it's taking up the nutrients from the plants. This could be a high-value market crop right here.
You got a gourmet green.
Totally, gourmet green right here. This next plant here is actually a native that was a really important food crop to the Native Americans of this region, and it's called wapato.
Wapato.
Yeah, it's got an edible root or corm down under there, and they would roast it in pits and then eat the root. Very nutritious, very actually tasty. I've never had one, but
you're going to get to.
I'm going to get to, and here's the flower.
Pretty flowers,
So
too.
you would see this all around Oregon in wetlands, marshes, and ponds. And then the next plant that we have down here, this sort of reed-looking plant, we go through the jungle to get to it.
This is great. I feel like we're in the Amazon here. I love it.
So this is actually a water chestnut.
Really?
Yeah, like you'd get in Asian foods.
Yeah.
We went to the Asian food market and we got some water chestnuts, some fresh water chestnut, and we just put them in some gravel in this tray.
Serious?
And they're growing.
I can't.
So,
I love it. I love water chestnuts anyway. They were a nice crunch.
Yep. And what'll happen is the plant will send out these runners here, and then the runners will start new water chestnut plants, which will grow into water chestnuts.
So it sounds like all three of these plants that you have as your start on water-based plants are happy.
Yeah, these are basically the 3 that are left of the 7 or 8 that we started with.
Okay.
Some did better than others, and what we'll see is that next year, water chestnut could be a huge gourmet crop in this environment. So we're looking for ways that we can feed ourselves with the tilapia and the vegetables and stuff, as well as have enough fish and produce that we can sell to supplement Aprovecho's income, as well as pay for the costs of running the system.
This is brilliant. I am really. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing in 5 years how's this grown.
Yeah. The recirculating aquaculture too is a pretty fast-growing sector of the agriculture economy. Aquaculture is huge. Farm-raised fish, you go to the grocery store, that's pretty much what you're seeing these days. And with fisheries in decline, these are the type of systems, and because they're recirculating, they're very sustainable.
Right.
Conventional aquaculture uses a ton of fresh water, and then there's just a ton of wastewater coming out of it. Something like 1 million gallons per acre per year for conventional aquaculture, where this is only losing water to evaporation and transpiration from the plants. So maybe a couple hundred gallons, maybe 1,000 gallons a year.
Wow, big difference.
Big difference. Very sustainable. The future of farming, and you can grow vegetables, you can grow fish, and the part that's most exciting to me about it is that you don't actually need agricultural land to do this. We could be in a parking lot in the middle of New York City.
Of course.
In a greenhouse.
Fabulous. Oh, that's exciting. Thank you. It's been a wonderful tour.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're with Jeremy Roth, who's coordinating the aquaculture project at Aprovecho. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.